Sam Howell's got a hose, but what were your stats?
Oh, he does, and he's got incredible poise. Let me throw this at you as we watch these first round quarterbacks. It's a guessing game, right? And Chuck's been in those rooms. I mean, it's like throwing a dart. You're hoping you get the right guy. You're hoping it's an Andrew Luck type of guy, but a lot of times it's not. I mean, you look at the numbers, the first round picks over the last 10 years. There's way more misses than hits.
Way.
So all of a sudden you watch Brock Purdy, right? And you're like, here's Mr. Irrelevant, and he's working in Kyle Shanahan's scheme. And here's the one thing that he and Sam Howell have in common: a ton of reps in college. Brock Purdy started 4 years at Iowa State, and all those reps comes in with zero pressure, ends up winning it. He's a great fit in what Kyle's doing. Now you look at Sam Howell, started 3 years, started his freshman year at North Carolina, and was a 3-year starter, played a lot of football games, had a lot of great moments, had a lot of tough moments. My point is he was calloused. He went through a lot. Comes into D.C., no one expects much of him. Carson Wentz there, no pressure. Ends up eventually getting a starting game against Dallas, last game of the year. Showed enough that Ron Rivera said in January, that's my guy moving forward. I think a lot of the media was like, what? That's your guy? 5th rounder? You're going with him? Ends up earning it by the second preseason game against the Ravens. They announced, okay, he's won. He held off Jacoby Brissett. And my point is this the future? Is this the future, looking for that guy in the 4th round, the 5th round, that has played a ton of college football, but you're not rolling the dice and setting the franchise back if it implodes on you and you miss on that first pick, second pick, third pick? I don't know. I'm wondering if the NFL copycat league, if more teams won't go that route. You look at Sam Howell and Brock Purdy at the combine there in Indy. You're not going to be like, holy cow, we got to have these guys. They're just gritty, smart, process quickly, and they're distributors. They get the ball to the playmakers and they do it in a quick fashion. I'm just wondering, asking Coach and you guys, if that might become more of a trend than these two guys maybe getting that thing started.
So I think Tom Brady picked 199, right? I mean,
yeah.
There's always going to be the hope that that guy is there. Russell Wilson, I think, was in there. Dak Prescott, I think, was also. And you can kind of do that. Kirk Cousins was drafted after RG3. Was it 3rd round?
3rd round as well.
Third round, he was drafted in there. So what I think you're leading to, though, copycat league, I don't know if guys are going to be searching for like 4th, 5th rounders to be their guys, but I think number of reps in college is going to start becoming a little bit more of an important factor in like deciding who's your guy. We can go to this, we can pivot right off this game and go, CJ Stroud's joining us in about an hour and a half or so here on this particular program. He played a lot at Ohio State, right? A lot of massive games, a lot of plays, a lot of situations, especially with those Ohio State fans on what they say, how they operate, the expectations, the big lights, the prime time. And it's like he stepped into this NFL now. He's unconscious, dude. This is his stats right now. And obviously he's a 1st rounder, but played a lot of football, to your point. He's on pace for 5,151 yards and 26 touchdowns. Joins Mahomes, Rodgers, Breeze, and Manning and Brady with 300 pass yards per game and 0 interceptions in their first 4 games. Pretty good.
Yeah.
That's a pretty good comparison. So it's like...
And you know what? Your point about what he went through at Ohio State, they lost to Oregon, one of his first starts, and Ohio State, just like Kyle McCord, their fans were ready to throw him in the trash. And he took that really hard. But to experience that, right? I mean, he was depressed. He was like, you wanted to get off Twitter, wanted to, not deal with it. But he fought through that storm. And I just think, to your point about when guys go through, not so much the wins, the national championships, that's the easy part. But it's the guys that go through the crap, the guys that have to go through some grind and have to deal with it and cope with it and learn to cope with it. You get to the NFL, that's your world weekly. 1 week you're a hero, the next week you're a GOAT. And to me, I think you're right. And that's really my point about these guys. I'm not saying you're looking for a 4th or 5th rounder. I'm just saying maybe you're willing to take that guy in the 4th, 5th, or 6th round that has played a lot of football, that maybe doesn't have the fanfare. Your fans aren't going to get real excited that you picked him. But maybe there's a place on the roster to take a chance on some of those guys.
Experience is something you can't gain at a combine, obviously.
No, absolutely not. But to your point, Herbie, right there, if you pass on these guys that we build up, in the media, and we don't take them, and then the team right behind you takes them, and then they end up, winning a Super Bowl.
You're fired.
They end up you're freaking gone. So maybe the formula is, you're going to take that guy, you're still going to go after that guy, but maybe we do like San Fran did. Maybe we take a Brock Purdy. If we have an extra pick, all these compensatory picks that you get, maybe you go find that guy.
It's interesting to think about how all of the politics of it all kind of weighs in, because if you take a guy ahead of a guy, for instance, he goes, great, yeah, you're an idiot, you're fired. But if that person's terrible, right, and you take that, you're the genius. But there's a lot more 4th and 5th round quarterbacks that have, you talk about first rounders that have missed. There's 4th and 5th round quarterbacks that have been gone through the NFL so quickly as well. It's just finding the guy is difficult. You think Sam Howell, though, it sounds like you think Sam Howell. And if you remember last year, the reason why I got to start there at the last game of the year is because Taylor Heineke said, this is what he said, you know what? Hey, I've started enough games. Okay? You guys have seen what I do. I get my new pair of Jordans. You need to give this Sam Howell guy an opportunity. And then they were like, all right, you don't want to start? Yeah, you're going to be gone from our team, but we'll put Sam Howell in there. And Taylor Heineke, who obviously another guy that we're referring to, had success as a quarterback after playing a lot of football in college. When we asked him about that at Super Bowl, he was like, watching Sam Howell every day at practice, in the locker room, how he operates, he said, I felt bad that this guy was not getting an opportunity. So, he just handed his opportunity off to him. And now got Ron Rivera saying, shit, if I knew he was that good, we would have played him a long time.
Yeah.
It's like, that's, once again, inside voice, not to need to be outside voice. But does Sam have it to go on a run, you think? And do the boys believe in Sam Howell? It feels like they do.
That's a great question, and I think we just got our answer in the last 2 weeks. 2 weeks ago, they played Buffalo. Couldn't have gone any worse. Sacked 9 times, threw 4 interceptions. Think about that. You're a 5th-round pick last year. You're trying to prove yourself to your boys. And the Buffalo game, it was a disaster all the way around, but everyone always looks at the quarterback. 9 sacks, 4 interceptions. Now you got Philly, right? I mean, of all teams you got to play against that defensive line coming off a 9-sack game, what does he do? He absolutely competes his ass off and showed, I think, his teammates a lot. According to the guys we talked to this week, he maybe won his team over, even though they lost the game, in that performance because of what happened the week before against Buffalo. They were blown away by his composure. And if you watch that game, at the end of the game, their rookie corner gives up a touchdown on a stutter and go with 1:43 to go. You're thinking, oh, man, they're going to lose. And they come back without any timeouts. If you watch that drive, you're sitting there watching the game like, hurry, hurry, hurry. He's out there just as composed and calm as he can be, leads them right down the field, ends up hitting Dotson on a tying touchdown. We all thought, are they going to go for 2? Are they going to kick the extra point? They ended up kicking the extra point. But the point was to watch him execute that 2-minute offense against the Philadelphia defense, a team that was in the Super Bowl, the best team in their division in the NFC last year, and to look like he's been there his whole life. I think that's what gets you excited. Now, he's not perfect. I mean, they're still growing. They still up front are kind of piecing it together. I feel like they're still gelling. We got a new system with Eric Bieniemy, so it's still a work in progress.
How's he? How was Bieniemy when you talk to him? Because I've only heard him speak a couple times, and he's not a public speaker, I don't think. How was the conversations with him about football?
Yeah, no, he's basically brought the Kansas City system to Washington. I mean, that's what he's trying to do. In fact, talking to Sam about it, he said he has studied so much of Patrick Mahomes, not comparing himself to Mahomes, but just trying to understand, on this play, this is where he's looking, this is the read. He's a gym rat. He's a film guy that loves to prep. Peyton would be proud of him as much of a film junkie as he is. And I think Bieniemy and he have kind of become kind of joined at the hip here on what they're trying to do. I think Bieniemy's a massive fan of the potential of what Sam Howell can do. And I think they feel like they're just kind of scratching the surface of getting the ball out there. You think about it. You got Terry McLaurin, who's, we all know what he's capable of doing and how he's become one of the better receivers in the league. Curtis Samuel, Dotson, who's outstanding. I think this Brian Robinson, a young guy out of Alabama, is showing physicality. He's showing a little bit more, I feel like, a little more twitch and juice when he gets the ball out on the perimeter. So they got some weapons, and I think what they've been looking for is just a guy that can process and get the ball out. And keep this in mind now. They've been sacked more than anybody else in the league. They follow that 9-sack game up with another 5 sacks last week. Now, the good news is the Bears have 2 sacks all year. they're the dead last in the entire league in getting sacks.
Up from here.
So that should be a problem.
Maybe
tonight.
not.
But I do think Howe and this offense have a chance.